This podcast is supported by Talkspace.
When my husband came home from his military deployment, readjusting was hard for all of us. Thankfully, I found Talkspace.
Talkspace provides professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatric providers online. Military members, veterans, and their dependents ages 13 and older can get fast access to providers, all from the privacy of their computers or smartphones.
I just answered a few questions online, and Talkspace matched me with a therapist. We meet when it's convenient for me, and I can message her anytime. It was so easy to set up, and they accept TRICARE. Therapy was going so well, my husband and I started seeing a couples therapist through Talkspace too.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, including TRICARE. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com/military. Go to Talkspace.com/military to get started today. That's Talkspace.com/military.
Property Management. Well, it cut us off there, Royal. Why did it do that?
What do you think, Gordy? Are we on the air?
We are on the air. I have no clue why it cut us off.
Hello, can you hear me now type of thing, huh?
That's just bizarre.
Folks, you just missed something really amazing. Gordy was doing a little dancing here in the studio, and he's got moves.
Oh, yeah.
You got rhythm and moves.
Yep, back in the 70s when I grew up, I won a couple of disco contests.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I don't brag much about that, I'll tell you that. Disco did not live very long.
No, but it was very influential while it did live.
I was no John Travolta now, mind you.
Yeah. Well, nobody was,
But I won a couple of contests.
Cool.
With a little friend of mine. She was little enough where I could throw her around,
Okay.
Do those moves. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How about you? You dance much?
No, I am not a good dancer. I don't have rhythm. I can't dance. Let's just put it that way.
Is your wife a good dancer?
She loves to dance, which doesn't mix very well because she loves to dance.
You danced at your wedding, didn't you?
No, we didn't have a band at our wedding. We didn't have music at our wedding.
You didn't?
No, we didn't.
No reception?
We had a meal. We had a meal afterwards.
Okay. And you gave your speeches and stuff?
Yeah, people gave speeches, toasts, and, said, well, this won't last because, it's royal. But here we are, 33 years later, and we're still going strong.
Well, and you seem to me to be a very compatible couple.
We are. We're complete opposites that are very compatible. So. And I know my wife's listening right now. She's probably just cringing.
Complete opposites that are compatible. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, they say opposites attract.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
My mom was like 5'2", and my dad was 6'4".
Oh.
Kind of opposite.
And you kind of ended up in the middle there a little bit, but you're kind of a tall guy.
Mom was kind of an introvert. Dad was an outgoing guy.
Yeah.
So, they were opposites.
Yeah, see?
And they made it work for 60 years or so before my dad passed.
Opposite but compatible.
I never heard that term before, but there we go.
There we go.
Maybe we should get to our guest.
How about Janice?
Pardon?
Janice. Where are we today? We're at Janice Marketplace.
You don't know where we are?
Well, other people don't, so we got to tell them about it.
That's right. We're at Janice, and they've remodeled in here.
Yeah, they're doing some changing things around. They've moved their point-of-sale systems and moved a couple of coolers.
She's the master of utilizing space.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Jana is that's a good way to put it, a master at utilizing space. She's moving things around, and I think she's going to put in a little bit more seating is the way I heard it. Yep. And they've went down in size in coolers space a little bit. But, folks, you can still get delicious hot meals here, sit down and enjoy them, or you can still get meals to go and heat them up at home or in the office. They're all made right here in Jana's kitchen. Fresh ingredients. None of that stuff where she's just prepackaged. She's just reselling a prepackaged item.
And they may have cut down on the cooler space, but I was looking out there. It doesn't appear to me that they've cut anything out.
It doesn't look like they cut much product out.
Right.
Yeah, they just reorganized a little bit. So, folks, come on down to Jana's and enjoy a meal and see for yourself what she's got going.
Maybe when we get a little nicer in the next couple of weeks, we can head out to the patio.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
They have a nice patio here.
Oh, beautiful. Yep. Nice little patio. And they've got a little side deck over here on the south side. And I'm sure, she'll have that open for people to sit on throughout the summer. So it's a great little gem in downtown Faribault.
It certainly is. Well, my Trek Properties ad kind of cut off there.
That's all right. We'll talk about it at the end.
You want to do that?
Yeah, at the end. Let's get to the big guy here, the most important guy in the room.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And who's that?
The head of DECA. What are you? You're not a head coach. You're head advisor.
Head advisor.
Head advisor of DECA.
So there's more than one advisor, Jared?
I do have an assistant, yes. Yep.
You almost have to have with all the kids they got, huh?
Yeah, it definitely helps to have an advisor. We've had years where we've had up to 95 kids in DECA, so we've had 2, sometimes even 3 people that have helped out. Okay. So,
did you start the program here, Jared?
I did start the program. So I actually got aboard a grant in 2009, and it's the 21st Century CCLC grant. And it traditionally had been an elementary grant, and it moved to the high school. And one of the things we had always talked about is maybe starting a DECA or a BPA at our high school. And one of the avenues that we thought we could make it work with is starting a school store. So Freddie's Locker Room, if you look at it's our concession stand, and it's our you can buy apparel wear as well. That is ultimately what drove the start of DECA. So we started in the old gym concession stand, a small spot, and then the school decided after our first year we were going to redo it and upgrade the bathrooms, which included our store. So we got a new store, and we had built a sign, and the revenues, our students started managing it, and the revenues helped offset DECA. So that started in 2009-10, and DECA started at Faribault High School in 2010-11. Awesome. So this is actually the 15th year of Faribault DECA, and I have been the head advisor since the start.
So before we get too deep into it, let's introduce you to our audience. Tell them what else you do besides DECA, and that how you
used to be a football coach.
Yep. So Jared Kegler. I'm a business teacher at the high school. I do work-based learning. I've taught multiple concurrent enrollment courses at our high school, which are college concurrent enrollment. Okay, which is a college course that kids can take in the high school. So I've taught principal to marketing. I've taught a course in web design. I've taught an intro to business course. I've also, like Gordy referenced, I was the offensive coordinator for the football program for several years. So
with Ned,
and we had gone to 2 state tournaments while I was the offensive coordinator. I've done a little bit of baseball work, and I'm currently Tim McNellis's assistant boys golf coach. I'm the JV golf coach now.
You're pretty well-rounded, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been all over the place doing a lot of different things.
I always thought if I was a coach, that would be the sport to coach.
Golf?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite as pressure-packed as...
practices, right?
Yeah, it's not as pressure-packed as a Friday night homecoming game that thousands of people are there to watch you and expect you to win.
Yeah. Well, you're a very well-rounded guy. Contributor to our Faribault public school system, and we certainly appreciate that.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're up to 2010 when DECA starts. And what is DECA? What does it stand for?
So DECA stands for Distributive Education Clubs of America. It was founded in 1948, so it has been around for a long time. My understanding is Faribault High School had it for a brief amount of time in the late 70s through about the mid-80s. Okay. And then it disappeared. And DECA is a student organization. It's a career and technical ed student organization that focuses on business, particularly entrepreneurship, hospitality and tourism, and marketing careers. And it has 4 pillars that it really tries to get kids prepared for. One is leadership, one is community service, one's to be academically prepared, and I'm forgetting the 4th one.
And there's a 4th one.
And there's a 4th one. Yep. It'll come to me.
It'll come to you.
And what really, it doesn't surprise me. What really makes me happy is how big the program is. I mean, we're in a time period where participation in sports is dwindling and getting smaller, but DECA's just got great numbers, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, our numbers have been really strong. Coming out of COVID has created a little bit of a challenge where we have seen our numbers decline, not as drastically as, unfortunately, a couple of our other activities in sports, but I think part of it is just the kids were at home. They weren't communicating, and DECA has a lot of presentations, a lot of one-to-one interviews, sales demonstrations, presenting a business plan, a marketing plan, and just trying to get those kids back to that spot where they're willing and able to get up in front of somebody and give a presentation has become a bit of a challenge. But we still had about 50-ish kids this year.
50 kids? I mean, I think that's wonderful. I mean, I realize it's been more, but like I said, in a time period where a lot of clubs and sports and everything is struggling to find participants.
Enrollment period is down.
Yeah. But no, we had DECA run our little convenience store or little candy store thing in my high school back in the early 80s in South Dakota. So I know DECA's been around a long time, and there's some really great things that it teaches the kids. You know, when you mentioned, a lot of the role playing and just being able to interview properly, being able to stand up and deliver a message. You call it deliver a speech, but
public
really,
speaking.
Yeah, you're delivering a message to somebody to either convince them to do something or convince them to not do something, and DECA is really instrumental in that.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for the kids, and one of the things that's probably my favorite part of it when you talk about, getting up and presenting and the critical thinking and the preparation. It's just when you watch first-time ninth graders go present and they are terrified, and then they do it, and I'm like, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, that wasn't so bad.
I'm looking forward to my next event. And, the more growth you see, all of a sudden you just see a confidence grow in them. And, we've had a lot of kids that as ninth graders were shy, bashful. I'm like, oh, they might quit DECA. This is maybe not for them. And before you know it, they're giving presentations to the school board and they're state officers. We've had 4 state officers. They're giving presentations in front of and speeches in front of 2,000, 2,500 people at state conferences.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool to see their growth.
I know every week, we have students come in here and talk to Gordy and I, and Gordy and I just are amazed at how well-spoken today's youth are. You'd have shoved a microphone in front of my face when I was in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. I would have froze and messed up everything. But for whatever reason, the ones that come in here are just top notch. They can talk, they can speak clearly, they can deliver that message. So I wonder how many of them cross over between sports and DECA.
Through the years, a lot. We've had so many athletes, captains, you name it. I mean, it just ties together. When you're a captain of a sport, you're expected to be a leader. And when you become in DECA, the ultimate goal for our juniors and seniors primarily is to become an officer in our program and be on the leadership team and help make those decisions that we're going to make and help set up the community service projects that we're going to work on. And I have them contact and do things, and I have them do presentations. I know one of the things our girls that just went to nationals are going to do is they are preparing to set up a presentation that they want to give to the Rotary Club. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff where we get out and about and help different community agencies and see how we can help and how we can work together with different projects and participate with them and kind of give back to the community.
How are the officers selected?
The officers...
And when we say officers, I'm assuming something like president, vice president,
yeah, we have like a
treasurer,
president, a vice president. We have like a director of fundraising, a director of social media marketing. So a director of public relations, so they help prepare stuff and post things to our Instagram page and reach out. This year, our community service project, we helped set up for the turkey trot.
Okay.
So the kids took the Wednesday that we had off of school before Thanksgiving, and we had probably 40 members out there helping set up everything for the turkey trot. So
Good.
kind of a cool thing. So when they want to get involved in being an officer, I have an application form, and it's got all the different roles and what each role does. And then the kids will choose 3 different roles, and they'll rank them. And then ultimately they have to fill out a sheet for me on their leadership experience, what their goals are for DECA, what kind of things they'd like to bring to DECA, and then they have to submit one teacher evaluation as well. So
Okay.
a reference that is not from one of the advisors.
Okay.
And that helps me kind of weed it out too. Is
So the officers are selected by you. They're not voted on or
Nope.
anything?
After we
Okay,
gather
we're-
that,
okay, we're getting
after
there,
we
huh?
gather that data, then we
We're
put
getting
together a Google form. So the kids that want to choose to run for president, they run. So there's a vote there, and then the students ultimately will select who our cabinet is.
Okay. So it is
Yep.
it is a democracy.
Yep.
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 So they promise a turkey in every pot, and that's
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one. Another thing that I've noticed, and we have DECA come in here at least once or twice every year for the last several years. The officers are pretty much split equally between male and female.
well, not this year.
They have been very much so. It's kind of been odd. I don't know why it happens. It's just different classes come through, and this year it was all girls. I know already I have for sure 2 guys that have applied for next year. We'll do those votes probably in the next week and a half. I think they have to get it into me by the 9th, so then we'll get it out. So by the following week, we should know our cabinet for next year. But it's very different. So it has been very split. I think if I went through the years and calculate them, it'd be very close to even.
Yeah.
And there's been years where we've had 80% of our chapters guys, 20% girls. Right now it's more 20% guys, 80% girls. It fluctuates.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
I know just a few years ago when we went to nationals, it was all guys and 1 girl. And this year it was all girls. So it's really over the board. I know when I was coaching football, for example, we had a lot of guy participants. And
So is this last weekend, you were in Orlando,
we
Florida.
were in Orlando, yep.
Was that the international or the national?
That was international.
Okay.
Yes, international, because you have DECA has really grown since I've been in it. So when I started DECA in 2010-11 and we started going to state, Minnesota DECA was celebrating 2,000 members. This year, Minnesota DECA went over 6,200 members. So it is blowing up, and it's blowing up not only in Minnesota, around the country, but also around the world. And they are at about 300,000 members around the world right now.
So how many people were at this event in Florida?
There were about 25,000 people there between the advisors.
The whole
and-
city of Faribault.
Yeah, it's crazy. Getting out of the airport on Wednesday morning is always interesting because it is really busy. But yeah, internationally, you're looking at China, Germany, Guam, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica.
Are they in their native tongues, or do they have to know English?
They will present in English.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
you just mentioned a couple of European countries. You mentioned Germany, for example. I mean, it seems like there would be more European countries that would be involved in this. It just maybe I'm misreading it, but it seems like something that
and I
be interested in.
don't know what the European countries do as far as competitions and things. I've been to Germany once, and even high school sports is not really done there. It's more of a club thing.
Okay.
So as DECA continues to grow, I expect the European countries to continue to grow as well.
Yep. Well, the important thing is let's continue to grow our program.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
So how
Exactly.
many of these ladies were at the international competition?
So we brought 6 of them down to the competition. So we brought Jillian Huberty. She competed in the apparel and accessories marketing role play. So she had to do a test, and then she had to do role play, and one of her times is in the morning and one of her times is in the afternoon. I don't get their transcripts, which is what they do for their scores, so I couldn't tell you exactly how they did. All I can tell is how the kids felt about it. So I know she felt really, really good about her first role play. Second role play, she thought the judge is a little distracted, and that can happen. So in order to move on to the finals at ICDC, like in Jillian's competition, you have to be first or second place out of 22 of the best kids from around the world. Okay. So it is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
And the judges are tired by the afternoon. And I'm like, that's sometimes that's just the luck of the draw.
So you want to be early, you're saying?
Ideally, I would like to be somewhere between 8:30 and 10:30, 11 o'clock. But I mean, you can't control that, and it just it is what it is.
Have you ever judged, Jared?
I have judged before. I've judged at our Back to Business competition, which is in the fall. It's kind of a practice for the kids, and that's just in Minnesota. But I've also had to judge at internationals.
Because I was asking Jared before we hit the airwaves, Ross, that Royal,
close enough,
that it would seem to me that judging is you don't have a set. It's not like when you're running a race, you have a timer, right? It's my opinion of this person's presentation.
Yep. So what happens is, so if I take the role play, for example, you have 2 role plays. So each of those scores are added together along with a test score. And then those 3 points out of 3 categories combined to be out of 300 points. And that's how they end up being ranked. And you're right with the events, and it's for our school-based enterprise kids too. They have a scoring rubric that the judge looks at, but it is very, very much what is the judge specifically looking for? How are they looking at the directions that they're supposed to do? Sometimes judges get, okay, my role is to do this, and this is what they're looking for, even though that may not be the only solution to what they're looking for. So it is very subjective, and that's what makes role plays really difficult. You never know. One day you can, I know one of the kids that got 7th place in Minnesota and actually bumped into nationals. That person made the finals at ICDC. And Jillian got 2nd and didn't. So different judge, different day. You just never know.
The personality, they might shine there with their personality and that sort of thing.
It also kind of seems like a similar process to judging gymnastics or figure skating. Where I think now those sports have gotten it more objective, where they're looking for specific tricks. Specific spins and
they have
specific
degrees of difficulty and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I think they're trying to make that more objective. But grading somebody on just what do you think of this? Very subjective, and it could go many different ways. How would you do this?
One of the categories is creativity. Well, a lot of kids, what are they going to do? Right away, they're just going to go with like a card that you get, punch card or, customer rewards card. So what can you do outside of the box to show creativity? That one is very subjective. One of them is just like your perception about the professionalism of the person. That one can also be very subjective. So it is a challenge, and it's really hard to be really good at the role play. And Jillian's one of the best in the state, and Minnesota always shows incredibly well. It's one of the best in the world.
Did I hear you say she was 2nd at state?
2nd at state, yep. State runner-up.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have been out of about 85, 90 kids.
Nice. And I'm sure that the judges can tell the difference between acting and delivering a good presentation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I would assume some kids kind of get up there and they originally wanted to equate this to acting, but I don't think that would come across very well, does it?
No, that's
I thought
exactly
that it was acting.
No, you got to be more well, I don't know anything about acting, but it seems like you got to be more sincere, more realistic.
Yeah, so like a lot of the role plays will say in the very first line, it'll tell the kids what their role is going to be. So you are to assume the role of. Well, sometimes...
And that's acting.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you could say it that way. But they're to be... sometimes they're the general manager, and the judge is one of the employees. So you're going to be giving the employee ideas of what to do. So you really have to be careful with what to do with that, because a lot of students go into the role play right away and they think the judge, because they're scoring them, that is their manager, that's the person, and you have to watch, because it might be a coworker, your manager. So you have to show as if you already know each other, and that gets really difficult for them. So, and then we had two
So that
different
part is clearly acting.
Yep.
But it's
also solving solutions and coming up with business ideas, and how are we going to get more people to this? Maybe if it's one of the sports entertainment topics has been, a movie is not doing well. How do you get more teenagers excited about and coming to watch this movie? How are you going to market it? How are you going to get people there? So it is some acting, but it is also applying what they know about business and ideas and creativity to get the judge to give them the best score they can.
Yep. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, Gordy, I definitely see your point that it is similar to acting in some ways. It just seems to me that the judges would be able to see through that. And to me, it's not like theater. I view theater as more acting, and you're playing a part, whereas this, I don't know, it just seems different to me, but maybe I'm not explaining it properly.
Yeah, and they have performance indicators they have to hit, and the girls that competed in our school-based enterprises, same thing, and that's a big part of their score, so they have to make sure they hit those performance indicators and cover them thoroughly.
For example, smiling.
That would be part of that professionalism and how they feel about them, and that's a big part of this is the professionalism and just, do you have a good greeting? Are you making good eye contact? Are you smiling? Do you seem enthused to be there? And I know one of the things I always tell kids, you thank them for meeting with you. You thank them at the end. You absolutely kill them with kindness, because that leaves a really positive, you have to make that great first impression, but that overall impression is really important. So if they
Which
just
is
think,
true in
wow,
business
you're a great
too, right?
person.
Exactly, yeah. How important is appearance in this? I'm thinking more along the lines of dress, like clothes and stuff.
So kids have to wear professional attire.
Some, families
Like
can
suits for
afford.
guys?
Yep. Guys are wearing suits and ties. Girls are wearing professional suit pants and things like that. So,
but just to be a little realistic, though, some families can afford really expensive apparel, and other families can't afford expensive apparel. But there'll still be a dress or a suit and tie or whatever the requirements are. But I would hope that doesn't fall into the judges. So when
mindset. You're in Orlando, every student that does a competition is required to wear a DECA blazer.
Okay.
So that kind of offsets some of that. I know one of the things we did with Faribault High School being definitely low income, high free and reduced lunch number. A couple of years ago, we did a clothing drive as one of our community service projects. So people donated professional clothes. So in our we have 2 classrooms, and in between it's our office. It's a big enough space where we have a rack of blazers, dress shirts, ties, dress shoes, stuff like that people have donated. So if our kids don't have that stuff, we usually have something that they can grab, and we don't charge them for it. And
we've got about 45 seconds left. What haven't we asked you about, or what any shout out you want to give to specific students, or is there a pitch where you're trying to bring other students in?
Yeah, well, our kids did a great thing, and I love seeing the kids that have gone through DECA. Now, we've gone over 1,000 students that have been DECA members, and just watching them on LinkedIn and seeing how many of our kids that were in DECA are thriving and being promoted is really cool. And I guess the other thing I would really like to talk about is I want to give a shout out to both of you guys, the Chamber of Commerce, Cassie and Nort, for putting a business blast out. We have had some unbelievable community support in DECA through the years. And one of the things that we want to do next year is all of the people that donated and sponsored for us, we'd like to put their logos on the back of our T-shirts.
Great. Cool. That'd be very nice.
Thank you very much for coming in. We certainly appreciate it. And mind if I talk a little Trek Properties now?
No, that's your job.
Yeah, okay. I am Royal Ross, Trek Properties.
Jared's going to judge this.
Jared can judge us, yes. Royal Ross, Trek Properties, located in beautiful downtown Faribault, right across the street from the post office. Full-service real estate firm. We manage residential units for investors. We manage homeowner associations. We manage commercial property. We have a storage division. And we have a sales division. I'm a licensed realtor also. So if you need help in any realm of the real estate world, give us a call, 507-334-3.
Your home.
News just in. Bet365 is now live in Illinois.
That's right. Join Bet365 today and get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose.
That's amazing.
That's for sure. With Bet365, you can bet on the spread, totals, and money line.
Well, there you have it, Illinois. Download the Bet365 app and get your $150 in bonus bets today.
And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Illinois. T's and C's apply.